Welcome everyone. So the title of my presentation is The Nation That Preserved. Before I start, I would like to thank everyone who was involved in the organization for giving me this opportunity. I also would like to ask you to bear with me because this is my first academic conference. So I want to firstly give you a brief context information about the topic I will be discussing. So the state actually that I talk about in my presentation is Polish-Lithuanian Commonwealth, which was established after Union of Lublin when Kingdom of Poland and Grand Duchy of Lithuania merged into a single state in 1st July of 1569. Its actual original name is Rzecz Pospolita, which is the translation of the Latin word Respublika. It's a Polish language, and as you may know, res means business, publica means public. So yeah, similarly, Rzecz means business and Pospolita means public. So yeah, as the name suggests, everyone is supposed to work for the common good, let's say. So yeah, it is evident from the relatively strong stance of local nobility, which is called Szlachta, who were able to influence internal politics of Polish-Lithuanian Commonwealth. An example case is Griselda Vishnavezka, who is the mother of King Michal Vishnavetsky. The interesting fact is that after her husband died, she was able to retain her rights for ordinatia, which is the sort of castle with its own garrison, weaponry, and so on. And she also was able to promote her son's candidacy during elections of a new king. What I want to particularly highlight is that she was able to do it as a woman in 17th century, when the notion of toleration wasn't the same as it is now. And the events that I will be actually talking about are Partitions of Poland, with the first one taking place in 1772 and the last third one taking place in 1795, after which Poland ceased to exist as an independent state. I want to firstly show you the map of Polish-Lithuanian Commonwealth. As you can see, it encompasses territories of modern-day states of Latvia, Lithuania, Belarus, some huge bits of Poland and Ukraine, and parts of European Russia. The first noble that I will be actually talking about is Adam Czartoryski. He was born to a very influential Czartoryski family, one of the three very influential Polish clans at that time, who were actually even more powerful than the king himself. He was a friend of Emperor Alexander I, under whom Russia defeated Napoleon Bonaparte. He was Russian foreign minister. After Poland ceased to exist, he was a member of Secret Council of Alexander. Essentially, this was the group of people who were advising Alexander on different matters. And he was the curator of school system in 8 different Polish districts. So he's an example of cooperator. If we look at his memoirs in 1796, he displays a sort of friendship with Alexander. So this is what Alexander said in 1796. He had wished for the success of Poland in her glorious struggle and had deplored her fall. Kościuszko, he said, was in his eyes a man who was great by his virtues. This conversation was, as may be imagined, occasionally interrupted by demonstrations of friendship on his part. He bade me farewell, saying that he would try to see me as often as possible. So yeah, there was some sort of close tie between Alexander and Czartoryski, but eventually, after Alexander became Emperor of Russia, this relationship sort of decayed. So yeah, this is what Czartoryski writes in his memoirs in 1802. I was often tired of my position and earned after my country and my parents. I wished for nothing so much as to go back to them, and the only thing that retained me was my personal attachment to the emperor. He used to console me vaguely or keep silence on the matter with which he found it more and more difficult to deal, though it was the only real bond of connection between us. So yeah, Czartoryski, as I mentioned, was the close friend of Alexander. He was his advisor, and through his position, he tried to influence Russian emperor, and he actually did it successfully to some extent, since Poland was able to retain its autonomous status within Russian Empire. Yeah. Now I want to switch to our second character, let's say, Tadeusz Kościuszko. He's a venerated hero of Poland. He's an instigator of famous Kościuszko Uprising, which, according to Jan Kiliński, one of the closest allies of Kościuszko, took part because of Russia undermining Polish constitution of 1791, which was composed by the group of nobles who joined together to solidify the rights of Polish citizens. Yeah, he was a very well respected person among Poles and foreigners. Particularly, he was respected among Poles because of his very liberal views. He believed that everyone should be part of Polish nation. So before him, it was believed that only nobles, szlachta, should be considered as Poles, while peasants are not part of the nation. But he actually changed this sort of stigma that undermined peasants. He also has the respect of foreigners. For example, Emperor Paul I personally guaranteed Kościuszko freedom and financial support. He had the respect of Napoleon Bonaparte and George Washington. And quite interestingly, Kościuszko fought for the freedom of both United States of America and Poland. Unfortunately, his uprising did not do much. So it officially started at 24th March of 1794, and on 13th of October of the same year, Kościuszko himself was captured. This uprising didn't do much, and it didn't help Poles to restore their country. And now I want to discuss our final character, but before that, I want to draw your attention to the Polish national anthem called Mazurek Dąbrowskiego. So as you can see in the chorus, it says, March, March Dąbrowski, from the Italian land to Poland, under your command, we shall rejoin the nation. And in the second verse, it says, we will cross the Vistula and the Warta. These are the two rivers in Poland. We shall be Polish. Bonaparte has given us the example of how we should prevail. So this anthem, it venerates Henryk Dąbrowski. He's also a very popular character in Poland. He's a descendant of a very wealthy szlachta family. He got his education in Europe. He also took part in Kościuszko Uprising, and he was one of those Polish generals who were actually not captured by the Russian army. Interestingly, in Berlin in 1795, he tried to convince Prussian king that there should be a free Polish state as a sort of a buffer zone between Prussia and Russia. He tried to convince Polish king that neighboring Russia is not the best idea. And later on, he started to serve Lombardian Republic, which was the puppet state established by Napoleon in Italy. So Dąbrowski is very popular for establishing Polish legion in Napoleon's army. And this is what he says in his declaration to Polish people. Napoleon the Great enters Poland at the head of an army of 300,000. Let us not reveal his intentions, but try to be worthy of them. Compatriots, it was up to us to regain our homeland. He is our avenger and restorer. Let us devote ourselves to him as orphans to their father. Let us give him the heart and courage that is innate in Poles. And interestingly, in his declaration of conscription that he actually said in 1806, he mentions Kościuszko 12 years after he was captured and later on released by Russia. So yeah, this again shows how Kościuszko was actually very well respected at that time. So Dąbrowski is also a very interesting example of both collaboration and opposition. On one side, he tried to collaborate with France. On the other side, he opposed Russia. And all of this was committed to try to restore his homeland. So you may ask, what resilient traditions have to do with Poland? Initially, Napoleon's campaigns in Europe were very successful, as you may know, and Polish legions were actually established in 1806, so which means that Dąbrowski took part in them. Because of that, under Napoleon, the autonomous Duchy of Warsaw was established in 1807. After Napoleon was actually defeated in 1814, Congress Kingdom of Poland was established under Alexander I, and this decision was did happen as the result of influence of Adam Czartoryski on Emperor Alexander I. Traditionally strong stance of Szlachta helped with diplomacy and internal politics, again as the example of Czartoryski influencing Alexander I and Dąbrowski actually having the chance to speak to Prussian king. It also allowed noblemen to gather forces to oppose foreign powers. Previously, I mentioned Dargovic Confederation, the group of nobles who composed Polish constitution in order to solidify their rights. Before and after them, there were various confederations, such as Confederation of Bar, that tried to revolt against Russia in 1767. Yeah. Unfortunately, Poland ceased to be autonomous after November uprising of 1830, during which the group of young cadets, the sons of noblemen, opposed against Russia because they believed that their rights declared in their constitution were violated. So yeah, thank you for your attention, or dziękuję za uwagę. Any questions?